Hey guys, Starlight here, soon to be Dr. G, Gallery Farm and Ranch. Man, that's gonna take some getting used to. This dog won't quit barking. It's our neighbor's dog, and he's just very boisterous. He's actually a good dog. He just is very boisterous. Anyway, so on today's episode of the Gallagher Shenanigans, I want to take a few minutes and show you guys the garden and just kind of share some of the things that we've done here. If you followed us before, then you'll probably remember we used to do various acres. So we had different. This dog is going to drive me crazy. Cracks me up. Anyway, every morning he sees us outside. He sees my dog Gabby, and he wants to talk to everybody. Anyway, so I want to take you through the gardens because in Nevada, we had acres of gardens. And, we'd have one space that was designated for tomatoes and another space that was designated for herbs and another space that was designated for, vining plants and stuff like that. Like the pumpkins and squash. I know squash aren't really vining, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so I feel like gardens are a really good life lesson, and I think everybody at some point should do a garden because they are a testament to you can do everything right. You can do all the work, you can put in all the effort, and literally overnight your garden can be wiped out, whether it be by bugs or sheep or goats or burros as we would have in Nevada. But it's kind of a testament to life, right? And as a millennial who was very much raised on if I do the work, I get the grade, then I get the value, right? I've done the job, I've done it well. That's something I've really had to kind of come to terms with over the last 2 years, is that my value is not in what I do and the outcome. It's in how I do it as I process, right? And so a garden is one of those things where you can do everything right and it still go bad. And you can do everything wrong and it still work out beautifully. And there's really no right or wrong. It's just at the end of it, it is what it is. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And you just literally take the lemons you grow and make lemonade. But I feel like this garden here in Arizona is kind of unique because we were able to take different things that we've had work over the years and kind of implement them in smaller ways. But, being in such a small space compared to where we were, granted, I will say, my parents' house got a very large piece of property for being in a town. I want to say it's like a third of an acre. So for having a quote yard, it is very large, which is really nice because we do have our chickens and our couple goats here. So then to put in the kids stuff and then to have the garden as well, it's nice that we have all the space to do all those things. But compared to our farm, right, it's a lot smaller. And so we've kind of taken things that we've learned over the years and implemented them here. We jokingly call this house the front yard farm because last year we planted just a handful of tomato plants. I literally, between my C-section and the fall right before I had Daniel and everything, there was no way we were going to do a garden. There was just no way. We didn't have any capacity for it. So we had 4 or 5 tomato plants, and I kid you not, I pruned the crap out of those things and did everything I was supposed to do right. And I'm sorry, my hair keeps blowing in my face. I think we got 2 tomatoes off. It was embarrassing. And meanwhile, my friend down the road, his garden is all in pots, and he really didn't do a whole, he did do a lot with them, but he didn't necessarily trim them every couple days or trellis them or do the things. And he just had this massive bounty of tomatoes, and I just kind of laugh about it. But anyway, so in the front yard here, we have some fruit trees. We have our roses and stuff. So it's kind of a mess right now. We are definitely in the height of everything is growing, and we've had a lot of things we've been trying to put in place before we go to vet school, because we don't want to, like, it's going to be sitting here for the next 3 years, right? So if we plant them now, then by the time we come back, they'll be fully established and they'll be mature plants, as opposed to us just barely starting then. So we've got, oh my gosh, my hair will not stay out of my mouth. I know it doesn't look like it, but there is just a ever so slight breeze and it keeps pushing my hair in my mouth. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, so up front here, we've got some of our like more long-term stuff going on, and then we've got stuff in pots that we're going to be taking with us to Tucson, and then we've got a whole different set of garden for kind of our summer garden that'll kind of carry into the fall. My dad is currently on a job, but he'll be back in August, and so if I'm being realistic, my dad's probably going to reap the most of our garden reward, but that's okay. It'll still be good. And then I have a couple other friends that are going to come and get things too. But I am getting zucchini and a couple other things, so I want to share those with you. Let's take a tour of the garden. Let's go. Okay, so let's start out here in the front yard, because I really wasn't sure how I felt about this, but I actually am kind of glad Ryan did it last year. So last year, back here across this window, we had our tomato plants up here, and they did pretty good. They actually got really big, but like I said, they didn't fruit at all, so that was kind of frustrating. But this tree here, this big one, is actually a pecan tree. Ironically, I grew up in this house, and I did not know that. It died, they cut it down, and then now it has come back, and last year Ryan went and trimmed it, and now it's huge, so it's gonna do some really good stuff, and it should fruit here soon. And it's a really great like bee, it brings a lot of bees in. If you ever get a chance to kind of come up and look at the leaves, there's like a sticky, sugary thing on them. I don't know what to call it, but anyway, the sugar part of it, or the stickiness of it, attracts the bees, so it's kind of nice for pollinators. Anyway, so that's my big one, is my pecan tree. And then we have this grapevine here, which we thought was actually dead, and then it came back this year, which was really cool, but it's not going to fruit this year. If you didn't know, grapevines, you have to have a second year vine to do to get grapes, and so this one is definitely not, because it's only the first year it's doing. Same thing with this one. We planted it. It's clearly doing a lot better. It doesn't have any second year vines this year, because even though technically it is 2 years old, but next year we should definitely get some grapes on it, and it just kind of exploded, so it's kind of awesome. And then we've got this apple tree that we just planted a couple months ago. As you can see, we're kind of making like a little line, so there's two. You always want to plant apple trees kind of in rows, that's why you'll see that, and it's for pollinators. Bees fly in a straight line, if you didn't know that. Anyway, so this is our other apple tree. It's a little bit more mature. It's been here since we first got here 2 years ago. It was probably the first thing we really planted in this yard. And we pruned it back last year, and this year now it's doing really good. I did add in a cherry bush here, so mostly I just wanted the color of it, but it will give little little cherry balls, but they're not going to like be fruit for anything. And then I have another one on the other side of the yard too, just as like an opposite. And then I like to make rose water and stuff, but I also just like roses are pretty, and I know it's hard to see, but there's a rose plant here, and they're basically like every 2 feet. My goal and hope is that eventually we will have a whole hedge of roses on this edge here. And then I'll have to find the picture, but you can see there's a whole bunch of grass now here. And if you've ever been to my parents' house, this yard used to be just sand. And so now it's come back in. So our neighbors here have this huge tree. And last year, when all the leaves fell, we raked them just into our yard and composted them and then put horse manure on them. And our neighbors were like, oh, heck yeah, you can take all the leaves you want. Thank you. So anyway, it was highly entertaining. So over here, I've got a lot going on. This side of the house, and like this is going to look like a disaster because it kind of is, but this side of the house is shaded most of the day. So anything that requires shade of any kind, I like to put over here. So things like strawberries, berries, that kind of thing are over here. So we had a bunch of strawberries given to us. My friend Teresa and I went up to another friend's house, and we actually dug up a bunch of her strawberries, and I've had like maybe 4 make it. So this is one. But what's really cool, this one is trying to hang on, but it's not doing very well. But what's really cool is that strawberry plants will procreate on their own. So they send out shoots, and the shoots are like these long little arms, right? And they've got a little bud at the bottom of them, and that little bud will then root and create a whole nother plant. And so they kind of create this like vining network. So even if I only have 2 or 3 plants that make it, eventually they'll fill this whole bed, which is really kind of nice. And I'm sad that like most of them didn't make it, but at least a couple did. But yeah, I want to say I started out like 15. So, you know, a couple is rough, but at least a couple made it. So then we have, this is mint. As you can see, one strand made it, 2 did not. This here is an herb little garden. We've got, this is basil, we've got rosemary, this is thyme. Actually, that might be a different kind of thyme. I can't remember. I don't like to plant rosemary with other things, but my husband put those together, so I'm not really sure. And then over here we've got, this is like a little pepper plant that tried to die on us, but it's coming back. You can see here's another strawberry that's coming back, so that's nice. And then this pot is also mint. The mint does really well. Mint is hard to kill unless your name is Starla, and then you can kill it very easily. Because, like, see here, this was my peppermint. Definitely killed it. Anyway, this is another strawberry that did make it. I'm hoping to take that one with me to Tucson. And then there's one here. I don't know where the heck that came from. And then this mint bucket here. So, I think, yeah, what, 3? 3 of the strawberries made it. So, we'll see. We'll see how those do. But they should do pretty well over here. The other reason that we put them on this side of the house is, again, because of the tree. So when the tree loses leaves, we end up with a lot of leaves right here, which will make great cover for them and protect them through the winter. So that's a big part of also why we put them here, is because it's got the shade, and then it's got the protection over the winter with just the natural things. All right, continuing. So this bucket here is actually from the farm. My friend Stacy brought us, like, I kid you not, probably 200 aloe vera plants. And at one point we had all these buckets planted up with them. But they did not like the transition from Nevada to Arizona. But I noticed when I went to dump them just the other day that this one actually has a couple that survived. So there's one there and there's one here. And so I'm going to take those, retransplant them again, and then see if I can't get those to procreate, because they do really well, actually. All right, so then these are all different little trees and bushes. We had a heat wave last week, and it did not do well for my trees. So this one here is a plum tree. We've got another apple tree in here. These two, like viney ones here, are just climbing little flowers. I like to feed pollinators, so those will eventually find their home. This one is a peach tree. Actually, I think both of those are peach trees. And then right here, I've got a raspberry, and this one is, I believe, a boysenberry, but I'd have to ask Ryan. I think it's boysenberry, though. Anyway, and then I have all these little peppers that I still need to pot. We're going to take those with us to Tucson, and then these peppers all need to be potted as well. If you are not aware of this, peppers and tomatoes will cross-pollinate, and as will squash, very, very, very easily. So if you have sweet peppers and you have spicy peppers, you'll want to make sure that they're in completely separate areas, because if a bee does pollinate one and then goes to the other and cross-pollinates them, you'll end up with sweet peppers that are like mildly hot and hot peppers that are mildly sweet, and it just kind of messes it all up. So if you do have both kinds of peppers, make sure they're on opposite sides of the garden, or even completely different parts of the house. So these ones are on, this northern side, and then our other like bell peppers and things are on the southern side, because we don't want them to be in the same track. Anyway, just a little tidbit. All right, so then Past that, these are, I think, little blueberry bushes. I'd have to ask Ryan. Which blueberries do well in pots around here, but they do not do well on the ground. And then we've got another tree here, another just flower one here. And then this one is another mint. So it's kind of nice because this one came back really well and is doing pretty good. But FYI, mint is very invasive. So if you, sorry, I love mint. If you take mint and you plant it in the ground, it will take over the whole space. So that's why all my mint with the strawberries is planted in pots and not in the ground. Because literally if I was to put it in the strawberry bed, probably within a year or two, it would take over the whole entire bed. And then there's no coming back from that. So just an FYI, that's something to watch out for. So I'm going to go ahead. No, I'll turn it on in a minute. Just thinking about turning on the sprinklers. Anyway, so I'm going to take you back to the other side of the house. You can hear the chickens. They're like, excuse me, I'm hungry. I know, I understand. All right, here we are. It's a hot mess. Please don't judge. It is a whole work in progress. All the boxes over there are being burned in our little fireplace because when we moved, we had so many boxes, and we've also just been going through all sorts of different things. So it's been a lot of things that were boxed up and putting them also in newer totes. So it's a mess, but we're working on it. So this here is yellow crooknut squash. I did collect one yesterday. You can see there's quite a few that are growing in there. So that's exciting. I've got more flowers. So then we've got onions. So the onions are around all the trees. We read something this year that said onions and apple trees do really well together. So we put all the onions, you can see here again, around the different trees. So far they seem to be doing pretty good actually. But, you know, we're not 100% sure that it's going to work, but they seem to be working. This is pumpkin. This one here is pumpkin as well. Over here, and all these trees are apple trees. And you can, again, around this tree, I do have a spaghetti squash right here, but it's not doing very well. And I don't know why it's not doing very well, but it's not. So we're just going to accept that that's the case. All right, so this is the tomato jungle. I have a couple different kinds of tomatoes. I am not terribly worried about cross-pollination because I'm not going to be doing any seed saving this year. And really, like, if I was doing seed saving, that's where I'd be more concerned with the tomatoes. But for the most part, I'm not worried about it. These here are, ouch, that hurt, big sandwich tomatoes. So you can see this one here is doing the best of them. This one actually tried to die on us and it came back, so I'm really excited about that. But you can see these are kind of bigger tomatoes that are coming in. And then my Romas are the next row there. So let's see if I can get a better angle. Not really, but you can see all the different Romas. And these, I'm struggling to get the trellises on. I just really haven't had time. And so they're kind of wild and just mangled, but they're producing a lot of fruit. So you can see here, lots of tomatoes. And then my little one, bell pepper plant. But they're just now starting to turn. Some of them are doing good, some of them aren't. They're really heavy though, and so we're gonna try and get the rest of the trellises up. You can see, especially like on this one here, there are so many tomatoes on that, and it's gonna just fall over and be decrepit. So we gotta get that taken care of. Anyway, so this box here, there you go. This is my little chair that I sit in when I'm trimming up and pruning this box. But this box here, I literally just like threw seed in it. I probably threw like 300 plus seeds in this box. It has pumpkins in it that Ryan planted. And then I planted like 2 or 3 different kinds of green bean. I planted beets. I planted radishes. I've already harvested the radishes. I planted white radishes and red or pink radishes. I did fingerling radishes and then beets. The beets really aren't doing too hot in this box here, but the radishes did okay. And then the pumpkins are actually doing really good. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a whole pumpkin right there. They got fertilized, so that's really great. And I've actually been using, sorry, I know these transitions aren't that great, sorry. But I've been using the squash blossoms. I don't know if you guys saw my short the other day, but I've had a lot of male pumpkin squash blossoms. And so I've been using them, it's like again, oop, I just ripped that one. But yeah, you know, there's a male, let's see, male, male, male. So these are all male. And I don't have any female flowers that are open right now. So they're just kind of sitting here hanging out. So I've been pulling those and stuffing them with goat cheese and different herbs. And they're delicious. So anyway. So we've got green beans here. These are just regular bush beans. These are not vining or anything like that. So I'm trying to see if I can find one. They're just barely starting to produce, so they're not really much to go on. But I did get a couple of green beans in the last few days. There's a pumpkin plant there, pumpkin plant in that corner, and a pumpkin plant in this corner. And then these little purple leaves throughout are the beets. And then these bigger leaves like this are radishes. But you can see like things that are left in here. I've just been giving these to the goats. And they like them. They like their, radishes a lot. Okay, so then we have another apple tree here. And then another chaos box. But it's not nearly as chaotic because a couple of the packages really didn't do anything. So there's a pumpkin there, pumpkin here, pumpkin there. These are pie pumpkins. The other ones are jack-o'-lanterns, so they should get bigger. Excuse me. This is also vining green beans, hence the little tripod here. And it actually looks like I need to do a little bit of fertilizing here. Cool. I might need to take a few minutes and do that, but I don't know. That one looks kind of funny. Not sure that I want to encourage it, but we'll see. So that's what's going on with this. And then, of course, just more onions. And that takes us back to the tomatoes. And on this side of the little trellis, so I will say something I did not account for with this trellis is the inside. The whole inside is full of weeds. And I literally can't figure out how to get them out. And that's problematic. But other than that, the trellis is working really well. So, I don't know. If I can figure out a way to trim out all these weeds, it'd be good. But these are all little cherry tomatoes, pear tomatoes. So they're starting to vine and they're coming up through here. So I'm snaking them through the gate here. And then I got this really cool tomato. I think it's called a bunching or a pull apart or something. But it's like where the tomatoes grow multiple tomatoes together, and then like you can go hiking and stuff and have it and like pull a section off, but like the rest of it stays secured or together. I don't know. It's interesting. And then right here I have just like one random, I think it got planted in the wrong spot because these are huge and they shouldn't be. But that's basically it. I do have peppers in this one. I have peppers in that one. The pepper plants are all going with us to Tucson. And then I've got the tomatoes over here that are in pots as well. And those are going to Tucson with us too. But most of this stuff, like I should be able to harvest tomatoes here in probably the next 2 weeks. I'm hoping, because I have so many, that I'll be able to like throw them in the freezer a couple at a time. And then maybe make some pasta or, pasta sauce. I refuse to make like tomato paste and stuff like that. That's just way too much work, especially for the price of tomato paste and stuff. But I will make pasta sauce because I really like my own pasta sauce. Look, I have some red cherry tomatoes. Yay! So I actually do pull them before they're a little bit before they're completely red, just because they'll ripen out the rest of the way. And then if I miss one on the vine that's fully red, I'll eat it just out here. But I pull them off because I want the plant to keep producing more. And when it drops fruit or loses fruit, or when you trim it, it thinks it's been attacked, and so then it goes to create more fruit. And I definitely just knocked over my pepper plant. Whoops. Anyway, so I will probably do a video for you guys on things like that. Trimming tomatoes, the mindset behind trimming them, trimming the zucchini. There's different ways to do it. You can also just let it go feral. That's fine too. I had a completely feral garden once in Nevada. And when I say that there was tomatoes everywhere, I mean there was tomatoes everywhere. We just let it go and it went. So you can do it that way too. But if you want to be organized, there are ways to do that. I'm kind of more organized with the tomato, like the big tomatoes in the back, the aromas and stuff, not so much. But anyway, so that's where I'm at. But I feel like I've said but like 5 times, and I'm officially getting tired and thirsty. And Margot is really not happy with life right now. She apparently feels the need to fight the feed tray. So this is highly entertaining. But anyway, I'm going to see if I can't get some breakfast, find some help, bump her, see if that's what's causing her little attitude up in here, and then go from that. But I hope you enjoyed the tour of the garden. I'll keep you posted. I'm going to, like I said, try and make zucchini relish this weekend. So if I can get that made, I might share that as well. If not, I'm just going to eat up some zucchini. Either way, it'll get used. And if I don't want to eat it and the kids don't want to eat it, then the goats are going to eat it because they like that stuff too. But I'm tired. So I'm going to go get some food and replenish my soul with some water and so on. See if my kids are awake yet. Anyway, these goats. Oh, goodness. She is a spitfire. Thanks for joining me. Sorry this is a longer one. Very disjointed, very disorganized. Kind of like my life right now, but it'll get better, I promise. I'll get back in the swing of things. I will remember how to make YouTube videos, how to do the editing and all the things, and I will, get better as we go. But for the moment, you're going to get all the buts, all the anxiousness, all the frazzled, and all the chaos, because that is what is reality. Oh, and I did want to tell you guys, I'm going to try and do a little update on school each week when I give these videos. So this week with school, we are still struggling to do housing, and that is kind of like the bane of my existence right now, is trying to figure out housing. We've had a couple deaths of friends. Another friend just found out that her husband has cancer. It's been kind of a stressful couple weeks, which, like, if I'm being honest, it's always a stressful couple weeks for me, but this particular week, I was supposed to go to DC. Lots of things came up. Lots of things prevented that from happening. Some of it to do with Ryan and the kids, some of it to do with friends, some of it to just do with me. But with us being here, we're probably going to try and get some things done. Oops, I just dropped things. So that we can go back to Tucson again and look at housing. Because it is just not going well. It is pure chaos, and unfortunately, because of Ryan being out of work for the 2 years that he was, it just is proving to be really difficult. And our credit scores and stuff are fine, but it's one of those where we have past missed payments, because there was times where, like, I had to skip one payment here, pay a payment there, then pay the next one, and kind of that rob Peter to pay Paul situation just to survive. And so we have missed payments. And so they're looking at it and they're like, well, but we see missed payments here, or we see this, or we see that. And I'm just like, yeah, well, at that moment in time, we didn't have the same situation we do now. That was all prior to Ryan getting awarded his stuff. And it's just kind of haunting us. Just another thing that this whole situation has kind of hindered us or put damper on or stressed us with. So if you guys could, I don't know, pray, send energy, whatever, that we could square away housing this week, that would be wonderful, because my soul is exhausted. just like with the stress of trying to figure out where the heck my family is going to live. And I really don't want to have to go without them, even if it's just for the first couple weeks. I just don't want to do that. I want to take them with me. So it's a thing. But I'm going to go get some water. So you guys, thanks for joining me. I'm sorry this was a longer one, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.